Well, guys, we are back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, as we got our second guest on the series. We wanted her on back. I've asked her to come back on back in December, but we finally got her on, and this is Zommer Nation. And care to introduce yourself?
Oh, hello. I'm Zommer Nation. I'm a progressive / leftist political commentator, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I've followed you for a while now. Aren't you like near 3,000 subscribers like me?
Not quite. I'd say about 2.6K.
Okay, so I'm still big on you. Yeah, slowly
Yep.
picking up too. Been watching you for a while. Make pretty good content, although sometimes you say some things that I disagree with, but of course, what else you can expect? Not everyone's going to fully agree. We've been trying to get her on for a while now, and we're finally on, as we had two topics we were going to talk about. Two of them we decided before we invited Zommer on that we were going to talk about, and of course, that was one of the topics that, both of them were on topics you wanted to bring up, Vlog, remember? About grifters. Yep. The two topics we talked about, one was just brought up recently, of course, police brutality, of course, with all the protests that have been going on for almost the last month. And of course, Vlog wanted to talk about all the right-wing grifters that disappeared over the last 5 years. And of course, the topics we want to talk with Zoom about is the main topic of the discussion that we decided to do this episode was Bernie or bust. And of course, maybe we could critique capitalism and also discuss Justice Democrats and other progressive movements. So, Zommer, as our guest here, do you have any of the topics you want to talk about first?
We can just start with Justice Democrats if you want.
Okay. Alright. Oh, boy. So, the Justice Democrats and other progressive movements. What do you all got to say about so far? They've made some progress, but probably not enough, sadly.
Yeah,
They're making quite a bit of progress on the local and state level, but it's hard to do that on the national level.
Yeah, we need to focus on everything, too. That's not a problem that Vaush is pointing out, too. Progressives don't ever seem to talk about the local level either, which is pretty sad because there's, thousands and thousands and thousands of seats across the country that could be up for grabs, and they're just getting taken over by Republicans, and no one seems to notice that, or is not doing enough to care about to try and resolve it. Anything to say, Zommer?
I mean, right, I think they've capitulated a little bit too much on, core issues. For example, I think AOC seems to be wanting to, play ball with the Democratic establishment more than, she originally intended. And being friends with Nancy Pelosi, trying to be friends with Nancy Pelosi and, I guess kind of making her policies more appealing to both sides of the progressive versus neoliberal sort of dynamic, I guess.
Yeah. It just doesn't work. Yeah. Because the neolibs are more interested in enabling the alt-right than actually helping people.
Yeah, if you can't be nice with Nancy Pelosi and all them, they just need to be voted out at all costs, pretty much. But of course, I think it's a lot of problem with progressive and liberals. We're a lot times just too damn nice. What do you all think?
Yep.
The right are savage. They're gonna make you pay if you fall out of line. But progressives and liberals and all them, oh my god, they will just cave on everything, and it's pretty fucking sad. I can't really think of anything else to talk about. Try to think of, is there any other progressive movements that I could think off the top of my head besides the Justice Democrats? Oh, yeah, them too. Haven't heard of them in a while, though. I'm trying to think of, is there anyone else?
Not really. The PCCC, but they're...
Move On, maybe? Oh, wait, no. Isn't Move On, full of shit or something? Can't remember. There's, so many of them that have gone, neoliberal, the last several years. I keep forgetting a lot of them.
Yeah. I don't know if there's much to cover in terms of Justice Democrat.
Yeah, we need to focus on getting on more progressives on the local level. That's probably the best thing right now to get any sort of change, since apparently the Democrats are too stupid to realize we had the option with Bernie, but nope. Gotta get the more electable one, and then Dementia Joe, but of course, oh my god, they're too stupid to realize it. My god.
Especially when there's a decent chance that Biden could die between now and the election.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
I mean,
what were you saying?
I mean, either of them could die. Yeah. I mean, Trump could.
Yep.
Pretty old.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fine.
More likely with Biden, but considering just how bad his
mental health.
Yeah. It's so funny how the oldest one is in the best health and Bernie.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to talk about this topic before we move on?
Not really. I think
Vlog
covered it.
Not really.
Yeah, fellow progressives, get a fucking spine. Go for the local level 2, and also don't capitulate to the Democratic establishment. All right. So, what's the next topic you want to talk about?
Yeah, just get to the elephant in the room. The capitalism.
Ooh. Yeah. This one you're probably a little bit better on, so maybe you want to start off first. You'd probably be more articulated than me or Vlog even. Zoomer?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say that capitalism is immoral, that it can't be reformed because private property entails the subjugation of the masses through wage labor, and it inevitably leads to income and wealth inequality that largely gets exacerbated by bad financial decisions by the top 1%.
Yeah, in some forms, yeah, it is. Definitely is never gonna make anything equal whatsoever. Although, admittedly, you're probably more to the left of me and Vlog, though. We're social democrats, so we do want to try and reform it. But yeah, there are some forms some forms, that probably are not reformable.
Yeah, I don't believe in reforming capitalism. I mean, I think Norway is better than the United States, but they still have problems as far as they still have wage labor and some degree of income and wealth inequality, and like the wealthy still own the means of production. So like from my perspective, from an anti-capitalist perspective, that's not sufficient.
Yeah. We do need to eventually get to a post-capitalist society. It's just a matter of how we're going to get there, probably.
Yep.
And since we have... So what would you propose, perhaps, to replace capitalism, then?
Probably socialism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's any other system to replace capitalism with.
But that's the thing I've been thinking of, where for the next period of time, say 20, 30 years, we'd have like social democracy, but that at this point, with things like AI and automation and that, it's almost going to be inevitable that we're going to transition to some form of democratic socialism.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for years too. Eventually, it's just.
What do you mean? Right, what do you mean by democratic socialism?
Vlog?
You just mean socialism with like a democratic government, right?
I'd say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs to happen eventually. Although, well, I guess you probably won't, you said you won't agree with reforms, but wouldn't it be better to like reform it now to eventually lead to the post-capitalist society in your eyes?
Perhaps. I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, I'd support someone like Bernie because I think he would create the working class solidarity that's important. But
yeah,
I don't know if I'd like necessarily. I don't know if reform is always the solution, because like technically you can implement a welfare program and that might just make workers more subservient to the system, because they're not going to want to. It's going to like weaken socialism because they're going to rely upon welfare to, maintain their existence. So, like if welfare existed, that might like make them happy and like to a sufficient point where they don't try to overthrow the like major system of oppression.
Yeah. Although you definitely are probably to the left of me and Vlog, we do agree that capitalism is definitely not going to lead to any good outcomes for equality's sake, and it does need to be replaced eventually. It's just a matter of probably differences how we're going to get there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but we do agree on the same things pretty much. So is that anything else you want to talk about capitalism, or move on to the next topic, Zoomer?
Yeah, sure, we can move on.
What do you want to talk about next?
You want to talk about burning your bus?
Ooh, that was the main topic how we got on here for. Of course, this was a topic like a month ago. Me and Zoomer got in a discussion. I think it was with Vaush on Twitter or something like that. And that's what finally led you to coming on the show. What were you saying?
Yeah, I used to be burning your bus.
Well, I still am. So for all of you who don't know, I'm sure most of the people here watching know what Burning Your Bus is. Burning Your Bus is the movement that if Bernie is not the Democratic nominee, like it's Joe Biden now, you don't vote for Biden. Vote third party, vote Bernie, or vote for whoever, stay home, or whatever you want, just don't vote for Biden. That's basically the argument of Burning Your Bus, just like how it was for Hillary in 2016. Now, Now, of course, I'm curious, when did you change? Because I remember after we had our discussion on Twitter, I actually found your discussion with Xander Hall, and you were for Burning Your Bus. And, of course, I remember your video you made like a few months ago talking about how you were for Burning Your Bus. So what happened?
Yeah, so I don't think I feel comfortable, like, allowing Trump to, like, get another 4 years and, like, you know, continue instituting policies that hurt the most marginalized of communities. So I think damage control is better than, even though Biden is terrible, I think that voting for the lesser evil makes sense to reduce the overall harm that's done to the community. So, like, what's your argument for burning your bus? Like, what's your perspective?
Vlog, what was your position before I talk about it again?
Well, I'm pro Bernie and bust. Honestly, because Biden will change very little. Maybe a few of the social issues, but that'd be it. But it'd be nothing like what we need. He's not going to touch any of the. He's not going to touch that much of the economic stuff. And so we're not going to be in an any better position than we were under Trump. Oh, you guys were, because I live in Australia, so...
Yeah, I actually did... What were you saying?
I was going to say, so do you think, like, social issues are, like, more of a secondary sort of thing? Because, like, Trump would make pretty substantial regressive policies in terms of immigration and LGBT and race. You know, you're seeing, like, with the George Floyd protests and, like, looting, when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Yeah.
And that's like,
I'm aware of that. Social issues are important, but the thing is, when it comes to economics, are like a bit more important.
Right, but like, isn't Biden's like slightly better? Like, isn't he like nominally better than Trump on economics, even if it isn't like substantial?
In the same way that throat cancer is a little bit better than lung cancer.
Right. So, like, wouldn't you rather have throat cancer than lung cancer, though?
That's the thing. Both are horrid. I'd rather not. Anyway,
right.
I don't either, because I know what you're getting at. The thing is, Biden is, like, as I've said before, there's a decent chance that Biden could die between now and the general. In fact, depending on who he picks, that may ironically be a good thing. Depending on who his VC is, whoever his VP is.
Okay, I mean, that's fair. Although, like, I'd say a dead corpse of Biden is better than Trump, to be honest.
It's like we made a joke about Bernie. Remember that? As Kyle used to say too.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I didn't get to say what I was talking about. I am for Bernie Bus, pretty much the same way as Vlog is. I actually talked about this 2 episodes ago where we did a response to Vaush, who did a video talking about basically the same thing you did, Zoomer. And I did like a 10-minute long rant about this. I don't think Biden is harm reduction. I think if he does win, if he even does, it's basically going to be like Obama all over again. 8 years of no change. The establishment Democrats will screw us over. The Republicans will be energized because Trump's gone, now Biden's in, so now they can play full offense and get the House and Senate back like they did under Obama. And then in 2024, 2028, if Biden lasts that long as the president, the Republicans, or an even worse Trump, will take over, and in my eyes, we'll be in the exact same spot as we are right now. So to me, it's like no difference.
Right. Okay, so like Trump's approval rating is like extremely low right now. So, like, say he loses in 2020, don't you think the Republicans are going to go for like a more moderate and less radical populist approach to that?
No, because remember, he has a massive popularity among the Republican base too. He has like a 90% approval. They want someone like Trump. They don't care what the moderates want. And then they had the option 2016. Remember all those moderate candidates? Guess what? They went for Trump. So if I think that they have the radical option, they're going to go for the radical option now forever, pretty much, until they're all dead and gone.
Right. So, like, George W. Bush, even when he was extremely unpopular, had a net positive approval rating with Republicans, but they still tried to hide it in, like, the next election. So, like, if they got landslided and, like, destroyed by the Democrats, don't you think that would incentivize them to go for a more radical alternative to Trump?
You mean more moderate?
Yeah, right.
And no, I don't think they're going to care. They're more ideologically purity-based. They care more about that than anything. They'd rather lose with their principles, basically, in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if the Republicans are that principled. I think the only principles they have is
being regressive and authoritarian.
Right, I'd say helping corporations is like the primary principle they have. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think like any Republican that like increases profit for companies and the expense of workers would get like a lot of support from Republicans, to be honest.
Well, of course, you had to wait and see if a primary happens again, but I think if a primary happens again, if something like Trump, if someone like Trump shows up, I think they're going to choose Trump again until they're all like dead, pretty much. That's what they want to hear.
I don't know. I mean, I think Republicans have a very like tribe mindset. Oh, this guy got crushed, so we need to move to something else. Sort of thing.
I'm just not as convinced. So now my question also, our question is, it involves like voting. Of course, vlogs, not voting. It's just you, me, and are you able to vote this year?
No.
Okay, so it's just me. Well, I'm not gonna say where you're at, but if you were able to vote, you would vote for Biden, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm Bernie or bust. And of course, I'm in Maryland too. It's a safe blue state, so Biden's gonna win my state no matter what. So that argument doesn't apply to me. I'll either vote for the green or vote right Bernie, and if I can, or something. I just can't.
You have like over.
What were you saying?
Like almost 3,000. Oh, is it cutting off?
You were saying I had 3,000 subscribers, but what were you trying to say?
Yeah, right. So you almost have like 3,000 subscribers, right? So,
yes.
Like you advocating for burning your bus could like influence people in like blues, like a modern.
I'm not.
Vote.
I haven't really advocated whatsoever. The only time I had mentioned like vote for Bernie is I did a video a few months ago showing Dementia Joe and how all of his brain gaffes over the last few months, and then I said at the end of the video, don't vote for Joe, vote for Bernie in the primaries. But outside of that, I have not advocated Bernie for bus. It's more like a personal thing for me. I'm not voting for Biden, but if you want to, go right ahead or whatever. It's up to you. That's basically my line of thought.
Okay, so like. When you say like I'm not voting for Biden, don't you think that can influence other people to make a similar decision, even if you don't intend it?
It might not. Most of my audience is not really political stuff. They're more like monster trucks and video games and all that. So I don't think it really matters too much to them, especially since a lot of them are young people too. So they can't even really vote probably either. So I don't think it would make that much of a difference. But if it does, that's their choice, not mine. I'm making my choice. It's up to them to decide.
Okay.
So anything else you want to say?
I was just making sure. Yeah, that was just a question.
Yeah, just vote for whoever you want to. If you want to vote for Biden, go right ahead. Vote for Trump. If you want to be an idiot, vote for Trump, go right ahead. Or if you want to vote for a party or whatever, do whatever you want. You make up your mind yourself. Is my position. I'm not the one here that should be telling you who to vote for or not to vote for, except for that one video about Biden.
Oh, yeah.
So anything else
you want? Do you like Vaush, though? Do you like Vaush?
Yeah, we like Vaush, but he's been pissing me off lately. Especially his last video last night. Oh, God, that was so bad.
I mean, one thing to have disagreements with...
The Krystal Ball video, that was good.
Yeah, that was so bad. So bad.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. He literally implied the Krystal Ball was the secret Nazi.
Yeah, it was so bad.
That's a bit too far.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
No, I agree. She's not like a secret Nazi, but I think that she delegitimizes the significance of many cultural issues that have a lot of importance to her.
What do you want to talk about that maybe right now? Because I was thinking about maybe doing a video about that, but if you want to talk about it now before we go into another topic, we could have.
Yeah, sure. Like, even if I agree with you that Vaush is like too hyperbolic.
Yeah, haven't you noticed? Not sorry to interrupt, but haven't you noticed now he's been like saying like pretty much everyone's like a Nazi now, like to a hysterical extent. I've noticed that.
Right, but like Krystal, like you can agree that Vaush is being hyperbolic, but also think that Krystal Ball has some problems. Like I don't think that her politics. I don't agree with her politics because I don't think identity politics is exclusive to class. I think that they can synthesize to create a movement. I think intersectionality is a good method of trying to develop a movement. So I mean, I don't.
Well, there's a lot of things I would have to talk about on that. Like, when it came to, like, the video, a lot of it was really just he had a problem more with Sagar, and he was projecting it on the Krystal. At least that's how I interpret it. Like, in one part of the video, she was talking about, I can't remember exactly what it was, but she made the exact same point that Vaush would usually make, but of course he attacked her for it, and, like, try to say, like, this is what you say, but I know what you actually are thinking, if you don't remember that. He said something along that lines very early on in the video.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, she's talking about the exact same thing you're talking about pretty much. Come on, dude. I don't think he knows them enough, and I think he just has, like, such a hate boner for Sagar, he's just projecting it on the Krystal. At least that's how it's projected. That's how it comes across to me, and I've watched The Hill, like, almost every single day, well, The Rising every single day, so... It's like he doesn't know what he's talking about in my eyes.
I agree with you that Krystal Ball, like, I don't think she's a grifter, like...
Yeah, oh yeah, that pissed me off too.
But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that her, like, political views are necessarily, like, productive in every single way. I don't think her views on identity politics are correct because I don't think corporations are promoting identity politics to divide people. I think that they're doing it to maximize their own profit margins. So, like, I don't think her analysis is necessarily the correct one when it comes to these issues.
I've been watching them for a while now, and from what I've seen from Krystal and Sagar, they pretty much say the exact same thing that you're saying, that they're just doing it to increase profit. And they don't, it's like hollow criticism. It's like
did you watch... But Sagar used the Frankfurt School conspiracy that the corporations were indoctrinated by liberal academia.
Oh, ouch! When did that happen?
That's
actually an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
That was when they were on Joe Rogan recently.
Right. So, like, I don't know. I don't know if Krystal, like, standing by and, like, you know, being a mediator to that is necessarily productive. I mean, I don't agree to the extent of Vaush's criticism, but there's definitely some nuance to the issue, more so than like.
Now, what do you mean by mediate per se?
Well, I definitely think that, like, if you, like, engage in, like, this sort of talking points, like, Democrats bad together, they're right when they're saying Democrats bad. But, like, when you legitimize Sagar, but, like, focusing on issues that particularly make him look good, which oftentimes happens with these stories and stuff, you're creating a perception of him that's not necessarily descriptive of reality. So, I mean,
when you mean by mediate, do you think she, like, agrees with what he's saying?
Not necessarily, but, like, I think we both know, like, that you can still platform something and, like, not substantively critique it to the point where you can still influence people to believe in that problematic ideology, even if you're not, like, agreeing 100% with the points that the person is making.
I don't. Oh boy, I don't. I'm trying to think of a way to say this that makes sense. Like, it came across to me when we were
going down a rabbit hole. This is gonna go down a huge rabbit hole.
I don't think, like, when you first said, like, mediate to me, it kind of, like, sounded like, to me, that, like, it came across to me like you think, like, she agrees with him, which I'm sure you're not saying that. Not. But that's how it kind of comes across, which I think is kind of silly, but at least you don't admit that. And second one, when it came to that,
yeah, it would be, right.
What were you saying?
If I said that would be really silly.
Why? But that's how it kind of came across, but I know you're not saying that. But,
okay.
Another thing is, maybe, like, when it came up with that, what was it again about, cultural Marxists or whatever that Sagar said? I can't remember off the top of my head what he said.
Oh, that's the, Frankfurt School one.
Oh, yeah.
That, the institutions were being corrupted by...
Right. It also could be possible that maybe she didn't know that, because, I mean, that's not that common, like, in the mainstream media.
It's a very common internet talking.
Yeah, but
it's the idea that cultural marketing.
Yeah, I know it, but I don't think she might not know about it. So that's maybe why she didn't say anything about it. And also, she wants to give him a chance to talk. Because that's basically like the whole show. Now, what were you saying?
So if she doesn't, so let's say Sagar brought up like the Red Cross Holocaust statistics. Like that's a not very well known like statistics. Like Sagar says, 200,000 people died in the Holocaust because of the Red Cross. I would respond by saying, okay, that's very misleading because the Red Cross didn't investigate the entire area. So that's like very misleading statistic. But if she doesn't know that, then she could just get away with that, right? So like, even if she doesn't know, that doesn't really make it productive that, she just stood by and provide a rebuttal to that point that was being made.
I think it was more of like letting him talk, pretty much. Because that's basically how those two are. They let like each other talk and all that crap. And she does go after him. It's not like, oh god, like the people that agree with like Vaush, they're acting like, oh god, like Krystal's just like sucking up the Sagar, like letting him say everything and not do any pushback. If you watch the show enough, like I do, they do push back. And of course, that Joe Rogan video, they had like a half-an-hour discussion about the protests. About Trump doing the cracking down the protests with the military and all that. She was against it. Sagar and Rogan were for it. They had like a contentious like 30-minute discussion on that. So I don't really think
they do have disagreement, but the question is that disagreement like sufficient in the totality of the picture? Like, I can agree with you that like she's definitely not Sagar. She's definitely. I don't think she. I think she's a positive asset, but I don't know if the sort of bipartisan consensus building with the populist left and the populist right is particularly productive. Because there's a very pervasive mindset that some people have that like the populist left and the populist right can agree on a substantial amount of issues regarding economic policy and so forth. Therefore, we need to sort of build this consensus around the two ideas, and I don't necessarily think that's something I subscribe to. So, I mean, I don't know.
Oh boy, I kind of do to some extent. Like, if there's like an issue that me and like some far right dipshit happen to agree on, like economic, I'm willing to work with them on that. If it's social though, fuck no. If they're gonna like try and push their regressive social shit on me, like fuck no, I'm gonna oppose that at all costs. But like economic or foreign policy, if there's something we happen to agree on that's for the right cause, I'm gonna be willing to work with them. I think there is some.
I just don't.
What are we saying?
I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know any populist right political figure in history that's actually gone through with economic leftism or like opposing like the excesses of capitalism. Like even Tucker Carlson is like the most prominent example of like a populist right figure. He has like ties to Murdoch and billionaires.
Yeah.
He's a wealth board.
He's a fake populist like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like I don't know. I feel like the majority of right-wing populists aren't really genuine, and I don't know. History seems to bear out that there's no such thing as like a leader that's ever existed in history that's been a populist, truly populist right-wing leader. So I just don't know.
I'm willing to at least try on economic and foreign policy. Socialist was definitely not. And then, of course, that brings up to the next topic about that, and that was about what you were bringing up, like shit, what's the word? I'm not quite used to because I don't use that often. About like race and class are like inseparate or whatever. If you know what I'm talking about, because Vaush was talking about in the video with Krystal Ball. Do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like he. Oh man, I don't really talk about it that much, so I'm not like really well versed. And maybe you could talk about it a little bit better, so I can get like primed up.
Oh, which specific issue are you talking
about? I'm trying to think of a way to describe so that would make sense. Maybe you should talk about first.
Yeah, I'm just not sure like what specific thing you want me to talk about.
Okay, maybe I can say this the way it makes sense. Like when Vaush was talking about like Krystal and Saga on there, he kept kept saying like they were like class reductionists and like they focus like only on economics and all that and like completely dismiss class. What do you have to say about that? Maybe if you understand what I'm talking about now.
Yeah, I totally oppose class reduction, and I think that trying to treat cultural issues as secondary would be to the detriment of the socialist movement because marginalized communities are more susceptible to a pro-socialist message than non-marginalized communities because their oppression is amplified like capitalism and those structures of oppression. So, yeah, I don't see the need for class reduction as analysis.
Okay, I'm curious about something. I don't know about how Vlog thinks about this, but for me, like, I'm like when Vaush said in the video, it's about like both like class and race solidarity. It is both, but I kind of line more towards like the class being like the more important thing. And I think if you focus more on that, not dismissing the socialists, I'm not downplaying or dismissing them or anything like that. They're important too, but I think if you focus more on the economic ones, we might have a better chance to implement the policies that we want. Do you think I would be a class reductionist? I'm class reductionist in that regard.
Not necessarily, but the point Vaush is trying to make is that like we don't have to operate with a false dichotomy where we choose between identity politics and socialist analysis. We can infuse both into one. So like, there's no point in saying like, oh, identity politics issues are secondary when literally these same communities can help us in developing class solidarity in the first.
I got another interesting thing about that. Maybe like identity politics, because that was another thing that they were talking about. Do you know anything about that, Zoomer?
Yeah, I'm very pro identity politics.
In what extent to that are you?
Like, right. So like, if you're saying more drone operators that are transgender, then yeah, I'm not for that kind of identity politics. If you're saying like, Bernie's the old white guy, therefore we shouldn't support him, I'm not for that identity politics. But if we're talking like, every marginalized community has unique sort of oppressions they face, and we need to tangibly deal with that from a policy perspective. That's a very valid form of identity politics that I think is worth reconciling with and like worth talking about and dealing with. So
I agree with that. Vlog?
Yeah. I can see the argument. I can definitely see the argument.
Because that was another problem I had with the video with Vaush is like when Krystal particularly was talking about like identity politics, she was talking about the same group of people that Vaush would usually mock and make fun of and critique, like the people, like the first people he said, like the drone operators being like women, minorities, and all that. That's usually what the people she was talking about, but it seemed like Vaush was like being like obtuse and not understanding that or being dishonest.
Okay. Yeah, but like she's playing into the narrative that like corporations are supporting these identity politics issues because the reason the corporations are supporting these identity politics issues is to divide the working class, which implies sort of dichotomy on the issue.
When I've watched the videos, I do not get that interpretation. I get that they're just pointing out that they're just doing it just solely to make money, like you said earlier. That's how I interpret it.
Wait, so you don't think, like, you've never heard, like, a popular figure say, they're talking about, the corporations are bringing up identity politics to divide the class? You've never heard that talk?
I've heard it, but I see it more about they're just pointing out, just, like, trying, like, I guess you could say, like, divide so they don't talk about the economic issues. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's essentially their talking point, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I see it more, like, pointing out the, especially with like Krystal's case, they're talking about more. That's how I interpret that. They're pointing out that they're not really like sincere about like the issues. They're just doing it to like make more money and not to face like criticism. That's how I interpret it.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I don't necessarily agree based on what I've watched of Krystal. So I mean, I just don't really agree with that.
How much have you watched Rising?
A lot. I've watched it ever since Kyle Kowalski's been on the show.
Yeah, I think we sound like we watching the same thing, but like we agree like on the identity politics is important. Just like lay low like on the like the shit you were talking about, like if Bernie is an evil white man, therefore we can't vote for him and all that. That's like probably the main problem people have with identity politics is that is a huge problem. Right. And the people that like promote identity politics online with the left, usually it's more like that than the other thing that we're talking about.
I get what you mean, but like what contingent of social democrats who watch these kind of programs do you think understand gender fluid identity or non-binary identity? What contingent of them do you think would make fun of such notions? Because I've been researching it. I can guarantee a lot of these people don't fully comprehend these sort of notions.
What, identity politics?
Yeah, because like I've seen Kyle Kowalski videos like where he made fun of the Chaz Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone protesters gender fluid or something, and I don't see how that's like SJW. That's just somebody like having a particular gender expression. I don't see how that like.
I watched the video and I never saw that at all.
You didn't see you wait. You've never seen Kyle like.
I saw that video about Chaz, but I don't remember him doing that.
Okay, so even if you interpret that specific video as him not doing that, have you not seen video footage of him talking about like gender fluid people and like non-binary people and saying he doesn't believe that's a tangible like I know you've seen Vaush.
Yeah.
It's a good argument as why non-binary people are valid and so forth. So like I mean
I'm trying to think of a way to say this. I've never seen anyone. If any people like make fun of them, it's more like the more like insane people like you were talking about beforehand. But otherwise, I've seen like the left audience on YouTube being supportive of them. At least in my experience, it's mostly it's just mostly making fun of like the. Huh?
It's just not the experience I've had. Like when I've talked to them, it seems like then they see gender as a binary, and whenever you go to a spectrum point, they kind of get confused and like confused about what you're talking about, to be honest.
Yeah, sadly, a lot of people just are confused on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's fair.
But yes, I support like identity politics, just not like that. And I support like the what part of the LGBT community would that be on? Like the gender fluidity and all that. Because I'm not really
sure.
Because I'm not really well versed, to be honest, about like that topic.
Neither am I.
Yeah, we're not really like the
best. But like you don't need to be well versed to like tolerant or like supportive. So.
Yeah, but we support it. Like, we support the LGBT community, of course.
Yep. Of course.
Okay.
So that's enough of that topic. Anything else you want to talk about? We still have 2 more topics left. Which one you want to talk about next?
We can talk about the right wing grifters.
Yeah, we got like 39 minutes. This is one more vlog I want to talk about.
Because I managed to get a moderate list to just a handful that I remember. So, like, literally, it's taken me the whole time I've been on here to just get the list that I've got. And this isn't even complete.
Do you want to go? Yeah, do you want to go one by one?
Okay, well, we'll go with a couple of the big ones. First one, Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yep, haven't heard him in a long time.
Yes. We actually found out about, what, 2012, I think it was, when he actually made a video about, wrote an article about how Twitter trolls were metaphor.
I know what you're talking
Twitter
about.
murdering people?
Yeah, he used to be He used to be pro-censorship.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
That was so funny. Oh, I remember that. Oh boy. You there, vlog?
Yeah, I'm here.
Any other grifters?
Jeez. Oh, I love that. And now, I think last I heard from Milo, he was trying to sell off his old, one of his old shares for like $30 or something, because he was like millions of dollars in the red.
Couldn't keep that grip for long. Who else, though?
Richard Spencer. Ooh, there was one where the platform he actually worked on.
Yeah, I don't think he's a grifter, to be honest.
No, but hang on, I don't know one. Another grifter for you, Jean-Francois Garapi. I know from 2016. He mentioned it on the Drunken Peasants. He was a feminist, sympathetic to Anita Sarkeesian, and now he's now a far-right white nationalist who's facing numerous indecent and sexual assault charges.
Oh boy. Anyone else?
God, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. One for I don't know if one of them qualifies as a grifter, but have you heard from Linda Starr or Hersey Ali recently?
Not really. I haven't heard about them in a while.
Wait, what's their name?
Exactly.
What, Linda? You don't know Linda Sarsour? Linda Sarsour? And Ion
Hersey Ali.
Do you know them?
Why is Linda Sarsour bad?
She was on one of the people that worked with Bernie, remember?
Yes, but she's got quite a few.
Yeah, really few problems. Me and Vlog have a lot of problems with her.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Okay, as much as I hate Ion Hersey Ali,
Linda Sarsour. Oh God, Linda Sarsour is like a progressive, like, jihadist isn't the right word, but she believes in Sharia law for one.
Yeah,
she's
had some weird. She's also some. To be fair, you wouldn't have seen this because it only happened in Australia. We've got a Q&A session on the ABC, and she seems to believe that we're already under Sharia law. That Sharia law just means you're following the laws of the land or something.
Yeah, so if that's your. To be fair, Sharia law is like very subjective, right? Like it's technically Islamic law, so like you can like have Sharia law that's totally different in its nature. Like, I mean, very few 54% of Muslims adhere to Sharia law, so like it's going to be different, like the way we interpret it or whatever.
It's real, and
then oh God, remember what she said to Ion? Oh God,
isn't that the one? Which one said they wanted to rip the other's vagina out?
Sarsour said it to Ion?
I thought so. I wasn't sure which order that was, but yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's what Sarsour said to Ion Hersey Ali. And I think that actually happened to her too when she grew up in Somalia, so...
Yep. She basically... Yep, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Ion... Isn't she a neocon though? Ion...
That one...
Yeah.
I know she's part of like the new atheist group, but that's all I pretty much know.
Don't get me wrong,
that's pretty much that thing's pretty much dead now.
It was a failure.
Yeah.
Terrible. Sam Harrison.
Other grifters?
I got another one. One of those who's okay, more like one who master power level. And then revealed, stayed around for a while, and then an event happened and she suddenly had to vanish. Lauren Southern.
How funny you mention that she's back now.
Yep.
Oh, fuck.
Yep.
She is back.
Oh, God.
She's back. We know that she's a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, she's awful.
She's the one who propagated the white genocide conspiracy theory that people have cited in their terror attacks that have killed over 100 people.
Yeah. Right. Of course, she'll deny at all costs, probably still too.
Mm-hmm.
As you were saying,
I think
Zoomer?
she's a moderate now. Yeah, I think she's saying she's a moderate now.
I doubt that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
She isn't. There's a lot of people who already know that she's an insane white nationalist.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyone else on the grift list?
Well, maybe not so much on the grift. Now he's just going to the more general far right-wing figures who've vanished, who don't really get any much thing anymore. I'll give you one. When was the last time you heard of Andy Warski?
Yeah. Oh, God. We actually made fun of him one episode ago last year, remember?
Yes. Stay back! Stay back!
That was funny. Anything else you want to talk about on Zoomer about this?
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, good riddance, all you right-wing dipshits. Good.
Yes.
Get London. Don't ever come back.
Yep, Spencer Cernovich, Gorka, Baked Alaska, Peter Sweden, YouTube, far-right nuts like TLD, Undoomed, Red Pill, Davis Orini, all of those guys have had their viewerships collapse. There's really only a handful left that are still got a lot of traction. Unfortunately, some of the worst, like, who was it? I know Paul Joseph Watson's still going very strong. I reckon he's got all the InfoWars backing. Because he's the only one that has, since Alex Jones was removed, Paul Joseph Watson's basically now the highest ranked InfoWars guy now.
Yeah, but there's some other ones. There's Fuentes.
Oh, God. We should make fun of him in the future. That'll be funny. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. So you have nothing else to talk about in this topic?
Ben Shapiro is not as relevant anymore. So
yeah, no. Haven't you noticed too that the YouTube is finally starting to go back to the left again, as it should have been from the very start?
Yeah, you can partially thank someone like Vaush.
Yeah.
Yes. 3 Arrows is another great one.
Yep. ContraPoints is doing good stuff, but I find her too bored, to be honest. I can't
Destiny too, even though we had problems with him lately. Yeah, him too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really don't like Destiny.
Oh, you have problems with him too.
Dude, Destiny's self-perpetuating. That's the thing with him.
No, but he's hating on Kyle Kornsky hard.
Yeah.
Hey, just like Vaush does.
Kyle, he got annihilated.
Just like Vaush too.
To be fair, I don't know. I think if they redid the debate, I think Destiny could win. He's a really good debater.
Don't you?
It comes down to what subjects they talk about, because I think it was the economic one where Kyle just steamrolled. Kyle and the other guy was just steamrolled.
I think Pac-Man was with him. I think Pac-Man was with him.
I think.
Just separate, I think. No, that was.
No, that was a different one. It was someone else who.
Oh yeah, it was Hassan. It was a Hassan. Yeah.
Hassan Piker. That's right. Yeah. And they both, at least economically, steamrolled.
So you got
Hassan didn't do very well though.
Yeah, Hassan is not really good at debating.
No.
But how much time you left? You have enough time for the last topic?
Yeah, sure.
And of course, that is police brutality, which of course has been brought up now because the last month or so, the George Floyd protest is still going on.
Yep.
And of course, I'm quite curious.
Where are they still going on?
Yeah, I don't think the riot and all that's still going on. Although there was something that happened back down in Atlanta, if you didn't know about, another black killed by cops and actually being firebombed the Wendy's that it happened at, if you didn't hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But I don't think there's rioting pretty much anymore, but protests are still going on.
Do you support that?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Do you support the riots and stuff?
Not really. I understand why they're doing it, but I don't think it's gonna help their what they want happening. Especially since we have a friend whose family runs a business in Seattle, and her place was looted. So we're kind of biased in that regard.
What about the Kyle Kornsky argument that these radicals are making the moderates look more palatable, and they're capitulating to their policy interests.
Yeah, I think it could happen, but I still don't think it was.
In certain areas, it's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see an argument being possible. I just don't know if, like, optically, it's gonna look good for the movement when you burn down people's businesses.
But there's like a difference between like looting like a small black business and like a Target. Like looting a Target is way more justifiable than
or understandable. Because I don't think
I may disagree with it, but I perfectly understand why you do loot.
Yeah, we understand the anger of why they're doing that. We can at least acknowledge that. But optically, it doesn't look good, though.
Are you against defunding the police?
No. Of course, it also depends on what do you mean by defunding the police. We gotta get that out of the way first, since like so many people have different interpretations.
We don't want to abolish. We don't want to abolish security. But like,
abolish police.
Reorient funds. Yeah, but like reorienting funds, I think is a good idea.
Like we agree with that completely.
I can tell you now. We've had Black Lives Matter protests in Australia, which is a bit weirder in our world, because though we had the history that our government at one point was literally spent about 50 years trying to turn Australia into a white ethno-state, there are actually black Americans who would kill to have Australia's cops. Because they are so much better.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, we used to agree, like, defund the police in terms of lowering their funding and prioritizing other things. Yeah, we agree with that. But that's the problem with, like, defunding the police, because a lot of people, when they say defund the police, they mean, like, outright abolishing it. So that's, like, the main problem with that issue. Well, it's like optics.
If it's communal security, is it police?
I don't know.
I know that who was it?
There was a there was a town
Campaign Zero.
Oh yeah, maybe we could talk about Campaign Zero. Of course, I don't have their thing on top of my head, unless someone wants to get it really quickly.
I'll do it.
I remember while we wait for him. Remember the what were we saying, Zoomer?
Yeah, no broken window policing. Fair police union contracts.
Maybe we can.
Community oversight, independent investigation prosecution, limiting use of force, community representation, body cams filming police, training reformation, end for profit policing, and demilitarization.
Yep. Okay.
I'd also add to that end the drug war.
Yeah, and of course remember.
Yeah, that's what Kyle.
Kyle had a couple things in his video on. Remember, like one was like I remember one off the top of my head was like 3 strikes and you're done basically. If you remember that.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yes.
That one. I support, but it probably would have to be, like, collaborate or something like that, because I can easily see it maybe being, like, abused in some regard, if you understand what I'm saying.
What about firing all officers near the vicinity?
What, involved in the crime? Yeah, I could support that.
Well, good.
And then what was the other one off the top of my head? Oh, yeah, I support, like, a purge, although it probably can't be, like, instantly, like, over, like, a couple years' time replace the cops. I would support that, too. What do you two think?
And if you replace it with a more localized representative makeup of the force with proper training, and demilitarization, all that stuff, yes.
What about you, Zoomer?
I definitely agree. Like, I don't know what else to add to this.
I'm trying to think of what else to say, but yeah. So, what's your view on, like, the rioting? Because I remember I saw your video, you're just, like, saying, like, you kind of, like, support it to some regard, but then you said in the comments, like, you changed your mind or something like that. Care to clarify?
I support, at first my position was, I support destroying anything, and then my position evolved into, I support destroying a large corporation.
Yeah, because when you destroy, like, small businesses, it's not going to help. Especially since a lot of the people that destroyed probably need those jobs, and now they're probably not going to get them because they destroyed them.
Yeah.
I guess you're probably more to the left of us. I don't really think rioting and, like, destroying property is good. Although we can understand why they're doing it. At least we understand the anger of why they're doing it. But optically, it's not. It doesn't look good to a lot of people.
But like optics, like it wouldn't look good. Like if during like feudal era, we destroyed like buildings and stuff. That would still look bad, right? Even though feudalism is immoral.
To some extent.
Okay.
Anything else you want to talk about this issue? Because I feel like we're missing something, sadly.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Anything else?
All right.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, maybe?
I don't know.
I mean, you've still got time, right? Do you?
I have a little bit of time, yeah. Can you think of something?
I can't think of anything. That's why I was asking you.
Oh, really? We've got our topics to this round.
And then we add.
Wait, what?
What were we saying? Vlog?
I think we've got pretty much everything we want.
Yeah, we add something else too.
What we do?
Well, we did remember. It was like about identity politics and all that. Remember?
No, we've already. Oh, yeah, go for that.
We already talked about that. That was the other.
Yeah, we've already done that. Yeah.
So, you have anything else you want to talk about?
You don't talk about like. Yeah, I guess nothing.
Well, if you got nothing, I guess we can end off right here. I had fun talking to you. Hope to do it again in the future, maybe. That'll be really good.
Agreed. That would be.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'll wrap up this episode here. I'll put Zommer Nation's channel in the description so you go subscribe to her. Pretty good YouTuber, I must say. Hopefully, eventually, you'll probably overtake me in terms of subs because you do a lot better content than me in terms of politics.
I don't know.
Oh, boy.
You do some pretty good stuff.
What'd you say?
Oh, you do some pretty good stuff, so.
But most of my stuff's more like monster trucks and video game and all that.
Yeah,
Politics
right.
are like my smaller
sure.
priority.
Okay, that's fair.
So I hope you all enjoyed, and see you guys next time.